Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to today's YouTube video where I am going to be showcasing you a Sky Striker deck profile for the traditional format. So as you guys know, the current format has been pretty stale. So when I saw that Farfa released a free tournament
introducing Farfa's traditional competition. I guess better yet, FTK.
in a completely different format, I immediately jumped on it. I love trying and playing new decks and always looking to see if there's any innovation that can be made, especially in a format that I've never touched.
It's traditional, so you guys should kind of know how the rules are applied. Every card that is banned is now limited. So Firewall, MX Saber Invoker, Shockmaster, Lavalval Chain, Pot of Greed, Graceful Charity, Delinquent Duel, all these healthy, balanced, fun cards you can play.
The thing with traditional format is there's so many cards I didn't know existed into the card pool, so it was really interesting to go about this process in order to find about really old cards that were banned, why they were banned. So it was really interesting for me to be able to look at the history of these cards. For example, I didn't know Confiscation existed. I knew of Graceful Charity obviously and Pot of Greed, but I didn't know about Painful Choice, didn't know about Forceful Sentry, didn't know about Chicken Game. I didn't know about Sixth Sense. I've heard of Vanity's Emptiness before, but there's just so many cards in this card pool that I was like, oh my god, that was insane. So my approach was I essentially went on card and I literally typed in limit 0, which means these are all the banned cards. And so I started doing some research, and I saw that a lot of the banned cards were actually spell cards. So I realized that Sky Striker would be actually a viable deck, and with a lot of FTKs going around, Sky Striker being able to run a lot of hand trap makes it a contender within the FTK traditional format. So yeah, huge shout out to Farfa for hosting this. I had a lot of fun. Overall, I placed top 16 out of 750 players. It was top 32 cut. I lost in top 16, like I said before. I lost to Orcus, which is also a very strong deck. With the introduction of Harpoor back into the meta game, or for the FTK format, it really changed the deck in terms of how powerful and explosive it can be. Also, because Nightmare Mermaid is not legal, or it's at 1, it makes it so literally any 2 monsters is full combo. Not to mention the vast amounts of extenders they can have. So the deck was very strong. I definitely expected it going to top cut, but I unfortunately actually got sacked. He actually drew Pot of Greed, Graceful Charity game 2, and in game 1 he went Confiscation and then ripped my hand trap and saw my whole hand. So it was just absolutely nuts. I drew 0 banned cards, and I think that's one of the things I learned about this format. But Striker is one of those decks that even without drawing banned cards, it's decent enough to be able to grind through most boards and break most boards. You saw Ryan Yu break an entire rock board with just Striker cards, right? So that's why I thought that even if I didn't see the OP banned cards, I felt confident that if I see 1 or 2 hand traps follow up with Striker cards, I can break most boards. So yeah, this was a really fun for me. Being able to resolve engage was really nice. It felt really good. This card was absolutely the nuts. I finally understand why it was banned. There was actually one game where I sacked my opponent where I went engage into Pot of Greed and then Pot of Greed into Graceful, and I was off 1 card, right? And so at the end of it, I had so many cards. Kagari add back engage again. I drew so many cards. It was really absurd. I was down to the wire, and that 1 engage top deck just saved me the entire game, which is absolutely the nuts. 1 card being able to just turn the tables around that was absolutely insane. But to be fair, there were so many cards that turned the game around. I remember I was in a huge winning position, and my opponent just top deck Painful Choice. He was playing Orcus, and then I didn't have the Ash Blossom first, so I just immediately lost the game. It was just so insane how this format was one of the sackiest formats, but a really fun format. Just because you get to see a lot of the innovation and the ideas that people are bringing to the table. I played a pretty boring Sky Striker deck, I would say, compared to what others people were playing, but people were coming out with cool FTKs. They were coming out with obviously FTKs are not fun, but it's interesting to see what are people's thought process and how they came about, etc. So overall, really good tournament. And now I guess we'll just get into the deck profile. So this was my top cut deck. In the later rounds, I actually didn't main Lancia, but after playing 7 Lancias in top cut, Swiss was 10 rounds. And so after playing like Orcus for like 7 out of those 10 rounds, I was like, yo, I have to main deck this card. Just because it's really powerful. It has synergy with multi-roll as well. So like when you like reset the Widow Anchor or the Shark Cannon, you can like use them on your opponent's turn, activate Lancia as well. And actually you can't Shark Cannon under Lancia, but you can Shark Cannon first, then Lancia after. Or you can actually chain it. So you can go like chain link 1 Lancia, then chain link 2 Shark Cannon or something like that. But regardless, like Lancia was nice because I got to reset my Widow Anchors. That was like really important. Like not having my Widow Anchors banished were really critical. So I had like really cool synergy with multi-roll as well. So like it wasn't the worst. But yeah, Lancia was like I had to play because the Orcus deck was able to play through like at least 1 or 2 hand traps where like Lancia actually stopped their turn, and they ended on like a Galatea or like a Rusty Bardiche or whatever. Like 1 Afterburner clears it, so it was like not a big issue. Then I played like generic hand traps that just because like in traditional format, like I had no idea what people were gonna play. I had no idea what top code would be like, so I just knew that like Ash Blossom is a very generically good hand trap because it hits a lot of like the OP ban cards. Like Ash on Painful Choice is really strong. Ash on Graceful, Ash on Pot of Greed, like those cards are like Ash is really powerful for that. But so I just played it at 2 because like I said, I wasn't like it wasn't that amazing against the Orcus deck, so that's why I was like it's alright. And like even in the Sky Striker mirror, it's like pretty decent. Like people don't hit off engage, but they always get it back anyways with Kagari. So like Ash did do something, but for the most of the time it was like meh. But I still wanted to have it just in case. Then I played 2 Effect Veiler. I like Veiler just because it synergizes well with the Noodle Fiber Celine play to O2K, but also just because it's generically like a pretty good hand trap. Like, you know, hitting like Mermaid, hitting like you know, their Kagari, like stopping their engage access is like really powerful. So Effect Veiler was just like all around like a good card to have. I didn't really mind it. And then I played double Phantasme. Just because I was playing 2 of Veilers and 2 of Ash, the Phantasme like kind of like let me see these like 2 like 1 and 1 ofs instead of drawing multiple. Like multiple Ash would be dead, but like 1 of Veiler would be fine. The Lancia is like multiple Lancia is actually really good because there was one game where I came up where I drew double Lancia, so I went Lancia on his cards. It's just after he went Foolish Burial, Dumb Harp. I went Lancia on Resolution. He chained Call By, and I chained another Lancia to prevent my first Lancia from getting called by. The other situation that actually came up was I like Ash my opponent, then I chained Lancia after he called by my Ash. So that was like really good as well. And obviously like an insane hand trap that like just stops turns, Max C. This card is like the nuts. No, not much to say about this. It's like literally stops turns. Then Nibiru. Nibiru is like really good in traditional format just because be able to clear my opponent's board. And then after that, normal summoning array, make Zeke, banish the token, and then start like picking apart the whole board really easily. The thing with Zeke is that if you banish a token with Zeke's effect, the token actually doesn't come back. So that's just like really easy. And like you can always like area 0 it or multi-roll the Nibiru token away, so it never really was problematic for me. I actually really like Nibiru. It saved me so many games. It actually won me so many games that I shouldn't have won. And people like never really play around it. Like even if they did, right? Like even if they did, it's just like the mind game with this card is like so insane. Being like sometimes I actually side this card out even, and put in system downs. Just because I was like, okay, he's probably gonna think I have Nibiru. He's gonna win on a way less board, and so I'm just gonna system down him. And it still didn't matter either way. So then you play like the best card in the deck, 3 Ray. It's just this card is insane. Not much to say about this. Like she's literally Bay. You play the 1 Rose. This card is really nice because it has an effect where people don't read when it's in the graveyard, and then you remove a monster in the opponent's extra monster zone by battle or like leaves the field because of a card you use, or card effect. Then you actually like just get to summon Rose for free. It's really nice to dump off Graceful. It's also really nice to dump off Painful Choice. So this card is really powerful. I really like the 1 of Rose. Then I play 1 Chickens game. It's really nice. It's really good in this deck specifically because you can activate Chicken Game and it becomes a free upstart. But then you can just, you know, put a area 0 on top of Chicken's game, or you can actually multi-roll your own Chicken's game so your opponent doesn't get the same benefit. So that's why it's really nice. It also like saves you some games because it's kind of like a pseudo Mystic Mine where like if you have lower life points, you actually take no damage, and a lot of people didn't actually read that effect. So I actually survived so many games just because of Chicken Game itself. And a lot of them were like so greedy. They had game and they just went pay 1,000, draw a card, and then they just didn't have an out for chickens game. And then I was just like, wait, what? Like, I guess I just survive and then, you know, like have a chance at a top deck. Confiscation is really insane. Look at a card, discard one. Delinquent Duo is like literally the nuts. The other hand loop card is like Forceful Sentry. These are all like OP spells. That's why like I thought Skyscraper was like one of the really better decks to play, just because like all the spells are so busted and like it just feels like I engage really easily. Like Graceful was like insane. Like Graceful is literally like sometimes 3 spells and activate engage after. It's just like so ridiculous. Painful Choice is really nuts. Not much to say. Like Painful Choice guarantees you Ray pretty much. Essentially, they have like no choice but to give you the Ray, or like they give you engage, which gets you Ray. So like for example, if you want to guarantee Ray, you would choose like Ray, Rose, Rhoda, multi-roll, and engage. Like they have whatever they choose, you're probably gonna get to Ray. Technically, if you choose multi-roll, you might not get the Ray that way, but it's still like a really, really high chance. So just because if you have the field spell Ray, you can multi-roll your own field spell. So they have to like think whether or not you already have the field spell. So that's really powerful. Then you have Pot of Greed, Rhoda, A0. I only play one A0 this time. I was talking to Ryan Yu about this, and he was saying that like you just don't have that many Sky Striker cards, and like you can like just tutor off with terraforming anyways. So like it wasn't a big deal to play 2 of A0. And then you played 1 Afterburn and 1 Jamming. Those are just like the tech cards. Jamming is nice because it hits like the crescendo, but also in the mirror is like really, really powerful. Then you play the 1 Hornet Drones, just like another access array. Technically, you could also dump this off, like when I was talking about the 5 cards you dump for Painful Choice to guarantee Ray. Like it would be Ray, Rose, Hornet Drones, Engage, and Rhoda. That's like pretty insane actually. Then you have like the Shark Cannons. You have the Widow Anchors, the multi-roll, the Engage, the Terraform, and the Upstart. So basically you have like 2 Upstarts in the deck, which is really powerful. You're playing a 38 card deck with like really insane like traps. So like the traps that I chose were like 6 cents. This card is really nuts because it fills your graveyard with like Rays, Roses, or like a lot of spells, just so that if you miss, but if you don't miss, then you automatically win the game because you draw infinite hand traps off this. That's why like I like the hand trap variant of Sky Striker over like playing there can only one or traps, just because like 6 cents and like drawing cards let it so that you play around blowout cards. So like I expected a lot of people to side in like heavy like Harpy Feather Duster or Heavy Storm, and so like maintaining my resources by keeping cards in my hand, like all my hand traps, made it so like they can Heavy Storm me and get rid of like 1 or 2 Widow Anchor, and I still can like survive and win the game just because of my hand traps. Then you play Vanity's Emptiness. Like after you set up a board and you Vanity's Emptiness them, it's like really GG. It's like really hard for them to like win, so that's why I really like this card. Then I play Summon Limit. This was the last minute addition. Ryan convinced me to play with this because it's a generically good in like the mirror, but it's also like just way better than There Can Only Be One because of Mermaid and Phoenix. Like they can like out There Can Only Be One, but with Summon Limit is like literally after they summon 2 times they can't do anything else. So this was very, very powerful because like sometimes like they would just like summon 2 monsters, and before they try to make Phoenix to go Mermaid, I just activate Summon Limit and they just pass. Like they literally can't do anything, and it's an auto win. I only played as a 1-of just because like Vanity's Emptiness and Summon Limit are like they're very similar. They're very like broken. So they were just I just like pretty much played it, and I didn't have space to play like more traps. Like I said, I was really playing around like a lot of like the blowout cards, like the spell blowout cards, like heavy like Feather Duster, heavy. So the best way to play around them is just play like a higher hand trap count, in my opinion. Then you play System Down in the side deck. I expected a lot of Orcus, like I said before, in Top Cut. I saw like a bunch of players were playing it. I played like 7 Orcus, I think. I won every single Orcus match except 1. Just because, like I said before, like when they top deck, like when they activate like Painful Choice and you don't have an Asteroid, like that card is like literally so busted in Orcus. Like you dump everything, so it's just way too insane. Like, you just can't beat them when they draw Painful Choice. Then you play Cosmic for the mirror, play Heavy and Harpy Feather and Heavy for them, also for the mirror. In the grind game, what you want to do is like you want to conserve your resources as much as possible, keep poking them, and then when you try to go for game with Heavy by hitting all their cards. You hold cards like Forceful Sentry and Confiscation, just so that when you go for that game push, you can see their hand and like play around the nib. play around the hand traps, and then you just heavy them. I sided one of Ego Booster because it's really good in the mirror, but it's not good anywhere else. So I just sided this card in because I thought it's really, really powerful in the mirror. Kaiser Coliseum is really insane. Basically, it's like there can only be one for your deck, except that you can still link off, which is what was so insane. You usually only have like one Kagari anyways. So Kaiser Coliseum is really, really good. The other thing that's really, really good about Kaiser Coliseum is that it has really good synergy with Nibiru. Because after you put the Nibiru token on their field, like they just literally can't get rid of the token. So that's really, really powerful as well. Just in case you need like stall, like a worst case scenario kind of. Then you have like Royal Oppression. So basically like this card is really nuts to side in. In the mirror is really, really powerful too, because you can like Royal Oppression their cards, and then on your own turn you can multi-roll your own Royal Oppression, or like Area 0 your own Royal Oppression, and then just kind of like go for like game or like a lot of damage, and then set up a lot of advantage. The extra summon limit, and then of course there can only be one. I just like this card. I just didn't know what else I was playing, and for essentially like the rogue decks, I wanted to make sure that I had there can only be one. Like for example, like the frog deck, like frog FTK, like when I literally flip this, it should automatically be game. And now we'll go into like the extra deck. So for the extra deck, obviously you have the access code to help push for game. You have the Hockey Fibrax, the Hida. This is really powerful, taking the opponent's Ash, but also taking the opponent's Nightmare Phoenix. A lot of people, because they're playing Orchids, have a Phoenix in their graveyard before they make the Mermaid, which means that like he does like a 1-card access code, which is really, really powerful. Then you have like Celine. Not much to say. It's just like Celine is Celine. You have like double Hayate. I cut one of the Hayate out for Dingirsu. This was actually a last minute addition that was like, I was like theorizing with like Ryan, and like he convinced me that like Ding was like really, really good, because a cool thing you can do is like if you have like Rose in the graveyard, you can go like, for example, like you can go Shark Cannon their Galatea, take it, overlay for Ding, send like their extra deck in the extra monster zone, summon back Rose, negate a card on the field, then make Zeke, banish another card, then make Hagari, add back the Shark Cannon like a tuner, and then just make Needle Fiber, and then like OTK from there. Like that's like really, really powerful. Like in terms of like the lines of plays that you can do with Dingirsu is really, really insane, especially if you're playing against Orcus. And like I said, I expected a lot of Orcus players. And then of course you play the triple Kagari or Kagari, the triple Shizuku, one Kaina, just because like it comes up where like essentially like you're about to die, and like Kaina just prevents you from dying. Then you play the one of Zeke. Not much to say. This card's really nice. I really like this card. Like the thing with Zeke is that it can actually send your own floodgates to the graveyard. So like you can target one other card you control, send it to the graveyard against 1000 attack. The 1000 attack is actually really relevant. It helps as you push your game and surprise your opponent for sure. Then you played, like I said, the one of Dingirsu. But that's pretty much it, guys. I had a lot of fun. Shout out to Farfa for hosting this free tournament. This was a really, really cool format. Sometimes it can get very sacky, but it was just something different to play. And I really enjoy different things. So this was overall like a fun experience. And yeah, if you guys enjoyed this deck profile, or if you want to play some like traditional format, let me know in the comment section below. I'll be definitely live on Twitch, you know, playing some traditional format if you guys want. Yeah, without further ado, guys, thank you so much for your support. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.